Ever wonder what it would be like to step back in time, put on a sharp suit, a fedora, and live life on the edge during the Roaring Twenties? No, I'm not talking about joining a jazz band, although that would be cool too. I'm talking about the other side of the tracks. What if you were a gangster in the 1920s? Let's pull back the curtain on this wild era, but with a bit of a twist. Forget the grim and gritty stuff for a moment. Let's imagine the day-to-day with a healthy dose of humor. First things first, your name. You can't just be Dave from accounting. No, you'd need a nickname that strikes fear, or at least a little bit of confusion, into the hearts of your rivals. Something like Lefty Louie, Knuckles Malone, or my personal favorite, Butterfingers Benny, because you keep accidentally dropping your, business assets. Your wardrobe would be impeccable. Pinstripe suits, silk ties, and shoes so shiny you could check your teeth for spinach in them. You'd spend more time picking out your hat for the day than most people spend on their entire outfit. It's not just about crime, it's about presentation. Now, let's talk about the main event. Prohibition. The government banned booze, and in doing so, accidentally created the single greatest business opportunity for enterprising folks like yourself. You're not just a criminal, you're an entrepreneur, a purveyor of fine, albeit illegally sourced spirits. Your day job would involve a lot of logistics. Imagine trying to coordinate a shipment of Canadian whiskey while using a rotary phone. There's no GPS, no texting. It's all coded messages, and trusting that Whispering Willie doesn't have a big mouth. You'd have secret knocks for your speakeasies that were probably way too complicated. Knock, knock, shave, and a haircut? 2 bits? No, that was last week. This week, it's the first 3 notes of Yankee Doodle Dandy. Get it wrong, and you're not getting in for a gin Ricky. And the car chases! Forget what you see in the movies. These were not high-speed, Vin Diesel-level pursuits. We're talking about Model T Fords that topped out at maybe 45 miles per hour, downhill, with a strong tailwind. The chases would be more like a very determined, slightly frantic parade. You'd be white-knuckling the steering wheel, yelling at your associate, "Gino, they're gaining on us!" while a police car is puttering along a solid 2 blocks behind, probably trying to avoid potholes. The biggest danger wasn't a hail of bullets, but blowing a tire or running out of gas. Can you imagine the indignity? Getting caught because you forgot to fill up the tank? Communication would be an art form. You couldn't just tweet your rival gang a threat. You'd have to send one of your boys, maybe fast-talking Frankie, to deliver a message. It would be incredibly formal. Mr. Big Tony sends his regards and would like to politely inform Mr. Scarface Al that if he doesn't cease operations on the south side, there may be consequences. It all sounds very civil until you realize consequences means they're going to steal your prized collection of pinstripe suits. The ultimate insult. Let's be real though. Beneath the funny hats and slow-motion car chases, there was a sincere side to this life. Loyalty was everything. The guys in your crew weren't just employees. They were family. You'd break bread together, you'd go to their kids' christenings, and you'd trust them with your life. This bond was forged in a time when you couldn't rely on anyone else. The system had failed a lot of people, especially immigrants and the working poor. For many, joining a gang wasn't about a thirst for power. It was about survival. It was a way to put food on the table when no other doors were open. It was a chance to build something for yourself, however crooked the foundation might be. This wasn't just a boys' club either. The 1920s saw the rise of powerful women in the underworld. They were the queens of the speakeasies, running their own establishments with an iron fist and a velvet glove. Women like Stephanie St. Clair in Harlem ran incredibly successful numbers games, commanding respect and fear in equal measure. They were brilliant, ruthless, and proved that being a gangster wasn't about gender. It was about guts and brains. They had to be twice as smart and 3 times as tough to get half the credit. A story that, unfortunately, still resonates today. And think about the slang. It was a whole other language. The bee's knees, the cat's pajamas. You'd tell your friends you were going to a speakeasy to get some giggle water. If you saw a pretty girl, she was a dame or a doll. If things went wrong on a job, it was all applesauce, which meant nonsense. It's charming, isn't it? Imagine trying to sound tough while calling something the cat's pajamas. Listen here, see? Your plan to rob that bank? It's the cat's pajamas. Let's do it. It doesn't quite have the same menacing ring to it, but here's the most sincere part. Living that life meant you were always looking over your shoulder. Every shadow could be a rival. Every police siren could be for you. The glitz and glamour were a thin veneer over a constant state of anxiety. The parties were loud to drown out the fear. The fancy clothes were armor. It was a life of incredible highs and devastating lows. One day you're on top of the world, counting stacks of cash in a swanky hotel suite. The next, you could lose it all. Your fortune, your freedom, or even your life. That's the paradox of the 1920s gangster. They were simultaneously folk heroes and villains. They provided a service people desperately wanted, defying a law many thought was foolish. They represented a twisted version of the American dream. The idea that anyone, from any background, could achieve wealth and power, even if it meant breaking all the rules. They were symbols of rebellion in an age of conformity. So, if you were a gangster in the 1920s, you'd be a walking contradiction. A well-dressed entrepreneur who dealt in illegal booze. A loyal family man who settled disputes with more than just harsh words. A character straight out of a storybook, living a life that was equal parts comedy, tragedy, and high-stakes adventure. It was a dangerous, dazzling, and definitive era of American history. It's fun to romanticize, but it's also important to remember the real human stories, the hopes, fears, and desperate gambles that defined their lives. It was, without a doubt, a roaring time to be alive. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today and taking this little trip back in time. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, do me a favor and hit that like button and maybe subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure. Stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.